We have to start making moves to get ourselves ready for the fantasy playoffs. Just so if we do make the playoffs, we can maximize our potential of winning the championship. The deals that are made for the playoffs are oftentimes made around now. The guys we pick up off waiver wires, the guy we trade for, and if you're a 6-0 team, a 5-1 team, you can kind of take a little hit at one of your roster spots if that player is more likely to ramp up later in the season. And this is more about process than the player. I'm going to come up with more videos like this where I'm going to try and find players who are going to hit later in the year. But there's an obvious player that we could probably go after. Their value took a hit. They're not on IR yet. And we might be able to catch them on the cheap and get some decent production. There is some risk here because he's going to be coming back from an injury. And I'm talking about Marquis Brown. He's going to be out at least a month due to the injury. Could be a little longer. Not on IR yet. Maybe by the time you see this video, it might be placed on IR. But DeAndre Hopkins coming back. A lot of people are expecting him to take a large share of the targets, which he should. I mean, he's DeAndre Hopkins. But that doesn't mean Marquis Brown is going to be out of it. When he was healthy prior to the injury, he was catching 7.2 balls per game, a 26.3% target share, 7th among all pass catchers, tight ends included, who ran at least 200 routes in target share. That is very good. That is top tier. 112 air yards per game, second in the league with 669 air yards, and that's good. That means he's a deep ball guy, deep threat. Deep threats means potential for boom fantasy weeks. 18.3 PPR fantasy points per game. And he's only out for a minimum a month. He could be back 6 weeks from now, 5 weeks from now, 7 weeks from now. Could be a cheap trade target, especially if he doesn't hit that IR spot soon, because he's going to be burning a hole on your league mates' roster, and they have to fill that. And if you're good, you're 6-0, 5-1, you can take that hit. You can take an extra loss maybe because of it. You might want to make that trade. And I'm talking about getting him on the cheap. I'm not talking about paying him up. I'm talking about trying to get him at a discount. Sliding a player his way that normally would not work out, but now this manager's getting a little concerned. Maybe this is a middle-of-the-road team, a losing team, and they need to make something happen. Maybe you send 2 bench players over who are somewhat productive, maybe like a wide receiver and a running back, and that allows you to get him and allows you to play the waiver wire a little bit. Maybe you can do that. Try to sneak him away. We're not trying to pay full price. Maybe like Ezekiel Elliott, something cheap, and you're just trying to sneak him away. And we're not expecting all these deals to get done. This is what we do in Dynasty. When a player takes a hit in value, we start sending offers out, kicking our other managers in the league in the shins, and seeing what they're willing to do, seeing if they get that FOMO or they start going on tilt. And if they go on tilt, we try to capitalize on it. The back half of the season here, in the playoffs for fantasy, is okay here. Week 15, Denver. Week 16, Tampa. Week 17, Atlanta. And the thing about Brown, even with DeAndre Hopkins is back, and I think DeAndre Hopkins playing well could be a benefactor for Brown because Brown's going to get deep targets. He's going to get those air yards still have the potential for splash plays, still have the potential to give you wide receiver 1 results or at least spotty wide receiver 1 results. Even with Hopkins doing well, Hopkins wasn't doing that great last year. It's starting to trickle down due to him getting older and everything. But Marquise Brown, his game is getting downfield, making those big plays, getting those air yards, and that really ignites fantasy production on those games that he hits and then those optimal game scripts. With Marquise Brown coming back, there is some risk, though. He is coming back from an injury. We see a lot of guys re-aggravate injuries. So this is not a guarantee. This is why I started the video saying, hey, we're talking about process here. We're just trying to find guys that could ramp up at the end of the year. I see a pathway to him ramping up. It's just him coming back and getting air yards. I can see this flatlining due to the injury. The injury just causing him not to be 100%, re-aggravating, coming back too soon, whatever. We see this a lot with a lot of players, so that could be a reason why you don't want to invest. But there's going to be more opportunities with other players that you can follow this line of thinking with, either coming back from injury or a young rookie getting some opportunity down the road, schedule lighting up, all kinds of different scenarios that you can insert player X with to down the road that you can make trade offers for. And that's the main premise of what I want to talk about today is player X has a different situation 6 weeks from now. We want to trade now to get in early so we don't have to pay top dollar. That way we have this player for when we're in the playoffs. That's all I'm really thinking about here. Marquis Brown has that. We have the injury here really sinking his value right now. You can catch him on the cheap probably on trade. Maybe not. That's just how trades work. But he's a guy to shoot for in your trade negotiations. There are a lot of other players as well. If you start digging around schedules, digging around rookies, digging around other players falling off that allow this bench player to come up or whatever. But Marquise Brown is an easy one to look at because we know he can be productive. We know he can give you top-tier results. We know he fits well with Kyler Murray. We know how he wins on the field. And if he comes back healthy, comes back 6 weeks from now, 5 weeks from now, 7 weeks from now, he's there for us for the fantasy playoffs, there for us for the end of the season, that could be a huge get. You throwing this guy in as your flex, your wide receiver 3, wide receiver 2, that could help your team a lot, especially if he comes back. Say it's a decrease in points, and he was giving me 2 fantasy points per game. Say that drops down to 15, 13, or whatever. Say there is a decrease, or it's bumpy in the beginning but gives you a couple spike weeks. That's a help. That's huge, especially a volatile flex spot. And down the road this season, guys are going to be injured. There's going to be more attrition. And if he comes back, he's good enough to get downfield, catch a few balls in some games, have some big moments in some key game scripts, then that could be enough to get you in the playoffs. It could be enough to win you your first week in the playoffs or help you out in some way or some form. So this is a player that you need to look at. And this is a process, more importantly, that you need to think about, especially if you feel like you're going to be a key competitor in the playoffs, a key competitor to getting into the playoffs. You need to think about down the line these players who are going to increase the value of their situation going forward or have been dinged up in value that you can trade for, that are now cheaper on the trade market that you can just throw some bench players at, hope to catch back on a discount. If not, oh well, you're still good. You're still a 6-0 team, 5-1 team. You're still treaded the right direction. But now we're trying to put some chips in a certain direction that when we're at the end of the season, that we can really pump up the point totals, really gain an edge against our competition. Now we need to think about players that we can grab for the end of the year. Sometimes they're in the bench stashes like a Jameson Williams that you want to gamble on. Sometimes there are guys coming back from injury that you want to gamble on. But these are gambles. There are ways that they can flatline on you, like Marquise Brown, like I said, with the injury cropping back up. Guys coming back from injury do tend to re-aggravate themselves. We see this every year. But on the flip side, you're also looking at upside. So you want to look at the upside here. And you also want to look at the price on the trade market for the player. And you want to buy this guy at a discount, not at face value. You want the discount on the player that allows you to get the extra player along with your top tier assets on your team to really bolster your fantasy lineup 6, 7, 8 weeks from now for when we are in the fantasy playoffs or right before the playoffs. But let me know in the comment section, who are you looking to get right now to help you down the road? Who are you looking to trade for? Who are you looking to get off waivers? Let me know. And if they're interesting or if you want me to talk about them, let me know and I'll do a video on them. I'll give you some analysis, some advanced metrics on what they look like going forward and how they are trending. But I want to thank you for watching. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out. Helps the video and the algorithm. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. It's only going to help you down the line, down the season, going forward. I'm giving all kinds of recommendations to help you out with your team, advanced metrics, and really anything I can find. I'm dropping about 3 videos a day here, just scrambling through information and just sharing it with you guys. That's all I'm really doing. Looking up players, sharing things, coming up with ideas, just trying to help you out. But I want to thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.